A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Tuesday morning and it's time again for the breakfast show. I'm Rukman. Over the next 1 hour, we take you through the major happenings from across India and the world. Our focus this morning, the Prime Minister's one-day visit in Saudi Arabia, where he will attend the Future Investment Summit in Riyadh. The visit clearly manifesting the strategic importance accorded by both countries to one another. Back home, we tell you all the details of the scheduled visit to Srinagar of 28 members of Parliament of the European Union. Latest developments in the UK's Brexit process, a massive fire in Los Angeles, and also top stories from business and sports. We'll also bring you the newspaper headlines published from the national capital and lots more. But first, the headlines. Prime Minister to deliver keynote address at Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Agreement on Strategic Partnership Council, along with key pacts in oil, gas and other sectors likely to be signed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi accorded Guard of Honor on reaching Riyadh. PM Modi is on a one-day visit to Saudi Arabia. Delegation of EU parliamentarians to visit Jammu and Kashmir today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the visit to J&K should give the MPs a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region. In international news, British MPs reject early election plan for 12th December. UK PM Boris Johnson set to try again amid ongoing Brexit stalemate. In sports, Tiger Woods equals world record for most career titles on PGA Tour, wins the Zozo Championship in Japan as his 82nd US PGA Tour victory, equaling Sam Snead's 54-year-old record. In our top story, Prime Minister will address the third Future Investment Initiative FII Forum in Riyadh today. The Prime Minister will hold bilateral discussions with King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who reached Riyadh on his one-day official visit, was accorded the Guard of Honor at Riyadh Airport. Prime Minister was received at the Royal Terminal of the King Khalid International Airport by the Governor of Riyadh, Faisal bin Al Saud. Indian Ambassador Asif Saeed and his wife Farah Saeed were also present to receive the Prime Minister. At least 12 agreements are likely to be signed during the visit, covering areas such as civil aviation, security-related matters, defence, infrastructure and non-renewable energy sector. This is the Prime Minister's second visit to the Gulf Kingdom.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. He will deliver the keynote address at the third session of the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh. The FII is also known as the Davos of the Desert. The third FII session is organized under the Vision 2030, which is a blueprint for economic transformation of Saudi Arabia through diversification of its oil-based economy. Several initiatives are being undertaken by Saudi Arabia to fulfill this vision. The aim is to work alongside global strategic partners and investment managers. Under its Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia has selected 8 countries for forging strategic partnership. These include India, China, the UK, the USA, France, Germany, South Korea and Japan. Prime Minister Modi, who is visiting the Saudi Kingdom on the invitation of King Salman, will also hold bilateral talks. An agreement on the Strategic Partnership Council is expected to be signed.
This would be the biggest deliverable of the current visit of our Honorable Prime Minister to Saudi Arabia. The idea of the Strategic Partnership Council emerged during the Crown Prince visit, to India, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in February to India. This council will be the highest bilateral mechanism which would be existing between the two countries. It would be headed on the Indian side by our Prime Minister and on the Saudi side by the Crown Prince. And it would have two parallel verticals. One vertical would be on the political and security cooperation. This would be headed by the foreign ministers of both countries. Then there is another vertical which will be on economy and investments, which would be headed from our side by our CIM, Commerce and Industry Minister.
King Salman will also host a banquet in the honor of Prime Minister Modi. Energy security has been the main area of India's engagement with Saudi Arabia. India is on its way to transforming the buyer-seller relationship in this sector into a much larger strategic partnership. Launch of integration of the e-migrate and Saudi e-Tawthiq portals for the benefit of workers is also on the cards. An MOU is likely to be signed during the visit to launch a RuPay card in Saudi Arabia, which will be very useful for not only the large Indian community but also Hajj and Umrah pilgrims. Saudi Arabia is the third country in West Asia where RuPay will be launched.
There is an agreement on defense, for defense procurement, defense industries. There is an agreement on renewable energy. We are going to launch the RuPay gateway, in Saudi Arabia, which would definitely help the huge Indian diaspora of 2.6 million, and also the Indian tourists and pilgrims, Hajj and Umrah pilgrims will come. On the workforce side, the integration of the e-Tawthiq with e-migrate, which was again discussed in February this year, has been completed, so that will also be launched. There will be several G2B and B2B agreements which will be also be signed on the sidelines of the visit.
Though a short visit, it is very intense and strong on deliverables and hopes to further strengthen the growing strategic relationship between the two countries. With Kanchan Prasad in Riyadh, Bureau Report, DD News.
And before leaving for Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister issued a pre-departure statement in which he said, I quote, India and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed traditionally close and friendly relations. Saudi Arabia has been one of the largest and most reliable suppliers of India's energy needs. The Crown Prince, during his visit to New Delhi in February 2019, committed to invest over $100 billion in sectors of priority in India: defense, security, trade, culture, education and people-to-people contact are the other important areas of bilateral cooperation with Saudi Arabia. During the visit, the agreement for establishment of the Strategic Partnership Council will further elevate India-Saudi Arabia strategic partnership to a new level. I also look forward to my participation in the Future Investment Initiative Forum, where I will speak about the growing trade and investment opportunities for global investors in India as the country marches forward to a $5 trillion economy by 2024. Our correspondent Kanchan Prasad has highlighted the agenda of the Prime Minister's speech at the FII Forum in Saudi Arabia. Let's take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to address the plenary session of the FII at this venue. The Prime Minister is likely to talk about the growing trade and investment opportunities for the global investors in India as the country marches forward to a $5 trillion economy by 2024. With cameraman Ankur and reporter Rajesh Raj, this is Kanchan Prasad from Riyadh.
And joining us now is our correspondent Kanchan Prasad, who's covering this event there on the ground. Kanchan, a very good morning to you. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his departure statement, has spoken of traditionally close ties with Saudi Arabia and how establishment of the Strategic Partnership Council will further elevate the relations between the two countries. Clearly a very significant visit with a lot of expectations.
Good morning, Rukma. Exactly. A very, very significant, a short visit, but very intense visit. So, as you said, that India and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed traditionally close and friendly relations, and Saudi Arabia has been one of the largest and reliable suppliers of India's energy needs. Apart from that, around 2.6 million Indian diaspora is staying in Saudi Arabia, and they contribute annually to the tune of almost $11 million. So there is a strong people-to-people contact as well. And in this particular visit, Prime Minister is going to touch on many aspects of the bilateral relationship, and 12 agreements are expected to be signed during this visit. Rukma?
Right. Well, today's Indo-Saudi cooperation, Kanchan, is no longer just about oil energy trade. Increasing engagement comes at a time when mega economic reform programs are underway in Saudi Arabia, and India is going through a period of economic transformation and growth. Can we see this as a period of ties closer than ever before? And credit for that should clearly go to the policies under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Absolutely, Rukma. In fact, both the countries are going a great deal of economic transformation, and even for Saudi, it is not just a dependency on oil, but many other sectors. They're trying to open up, and that is the reason why FII is happening, where this 3-day forum, this is the third edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh, which is happening, and this 3-day forum will host financiers and the heads of the government and industry leaders who would discuss global trade and explore the trends and opportunities and challenges that are shaping the global landscape. So in that sense, of course, it is very, very important. And even with India, the relationship that we traditionally had was one of the buyer-seller relationship, which is now in a major way. And we can see that 12 agreements which are going to be signed will cover various aspects like civil aviation, security-related matters, defense and defense procurements, infrastructure, and renewable energy sector. So there is a huge kind of a spectrum to the entire bilateral relationship. And the diversification into defense and energy and security-related areas is, of course, adds absolutely a new aspect to the relationship between the two countries. Rukma?
Right, Kanchan, thank you very much for joining us there and for giving us those inputs. We'll be back with you throughout the day for more. Now, moving on, 28 members of Parliament of the European Union are scheduled to visit Srinagar and meet Jammu and Kashmir administration officials and local residents of Srinagar today. They are also likely to call on the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. On Monday, members of Parliament of the EU had called on the Prime Minister. PM Modi told the delegation of European Union MPs that close international cooperation is essential to fight terror and urgent action is needed against those supporting and sponsoring terrorism. The Prime Minister said that India's relationship with the European Union is based on shared interests and common commitment to democratic values. Prime Minister said the delegation's visit to Jammu and Kashmir will give them an insight into the cultural and religious diversity of the region. He added that their visit will also present a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region.
Must be taken against terrorism is one of the biggest threats to the entire humanity. Terrorism and radicalism particularly threaten diverse and democratic societies like India and Europe. Close international cooperation is essential to fight terrorism.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's crystal clear message to members of the European Parliament: close international cooperation to fight terrorism is the need of the hour.
Urgent action must be taken against all those who support or sponsor terrorists or support such activities and organizations or use terrorism as a state policy. There should be zero tolerance for terrorism.
A delegation of EU parliamentarians called on Prime Minister Modi on Monday. During the interaction, Prime Minister Modi appreciated the importance of India-EU ties. He said that India's relationship with the European Union is based on shared interests and common commitment to democratic values.
Our strategic partnership is even more important in today's testing times. EU is India's largest trade partner and source of foreign direct investment. Early conclusion of a fair and balanced BTIA is a priority for my government.
The Prime Minister expressed the hope that they have a fruitful visit to various parts of the country, including to Jammu and Kashmir. The Prime Minister said their visit to Jammu and Kashmir will give them an insight into the cultural and religious diversity of the region. It will also present a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region. The PM highlighted the huge jump in India's position in ease of doing business rankings from 142 in 2014 to 63 at present. He said that this is a massive achievement for a country as enormous in size, demography and diversity as India.
This is not merely a change in some numbers. It is a massive achievement. Both people and government came together to make the business environment better for the business person. Those rankings are not a forecast, but an assessment of what has already happened on the ground. The world's largest health assurance scheme, Ayushman Bharat, covers 500 million people. Ayushman Bharat can also be a case study for other nations.
The tenure of the European Union Council as well as the EU Commission runs almost parallel with the Modi government. That the delegation chose to pay a visit so early on after the swearing in of Modi 2.0 goes to show the importance the body places on ties with India. With Sudhakar Das in Delhi, Bureau Report, DD India.
In Jammu and Kashmir, as many as 160,000 students will appear in the Board of School Education examinations at 1,502 centres across Kashmir beginning today. Class 12 exams will commence from tomorrow, in which 48,000 students will appear at 633 centres. All arrangements are in place to ensure hassle-free board examinations. Secretary of the school board was asked to ensure deposition of examination material with the respective police stations well before exams. After conclusion of the examination, the filled-in material will be deposited in the same police station. All arrangements have been put in place related to heating, drinking water, electricity, transportation and other basic amenities for candidates at every examination centre. Meanwhile, in Sopore town of Jammu and Kashmir, 19 civilians were injured in a grenade attack by terrorists yesterday. This comes 2 days after 6 security men were injured in a similar incident in Srinagar's Nagar area. The civilians were attacked while they were waiting at a bus stand. One of the critically injured was taken to Srinagar hospital. The others who are injured are also undergoing treatment at local hospital. According to locals, suspected terrorists lobbed a grenade towards a security patrol near J&K Bank Hotel Plaza in the vicinity of a bus stand. The grenade missed its target and hit civilians in a congested area. Nobody has been arrested in this connection so far. On October 26, terrorists carried out the previous grenade attack while a CRPF team was inspecting vehicles at a checkpost in which 6 CRPF Jawans were injured. And joining us now is our correspondent Salman Qazi from Srinagar. Salman, a very good morning to you. Well, EU parliamentarians to visit Jammu and Kashmir today. 28 members of the team. The first time a foreign delegation is visiting since abrogation of special status. And insight into the Prime Minister has said that the visit will give them an insight into the cultural and religious diversity of the region. He also added that their visit will present a clear view of the development and governance priorities. What is the buzz surrounding the visit in the valley? Are there any special preparations that have been put in place?
The visit, which is a significant visit by members of the European Parliament to Jammu and Kashmir. Today, according to the schedule, they will be visiting Srinagar, and they are supposed to meet government functionaries, civil society members, members from the Traders Federation, and they're also likely to take it to around the sea and see the things for themselves. And I think this is an attempt by the government to portray that that the propaganda by Pakistan regarding situation in Jammu Kashmir is way out of reality. So definitely it's a very significant attempt, and the Prime Minister himself met and addressed the European delegation, and he told them that the religious and cultural diversity of Jammu and Kashmir is something that he wants to emphasize, because outside Jammu and Kashmir, it is portrayed as a monolithic state. So I think the attempt is to present a picture in which Jammu and Kashmir is presented not as a monolithic, and depict the situation as it is on the ground.
Right. Well, Salman, meanwhile, normalcy continues to prevail despite terrorist attempts to disrupt the peace. 160,000 students will appear in the board exams today. What steps is the administration taking to ensure that all goes well, and how enthusiastic are students about this development?
The exams, the decision to conduct the exams here and conclude the academic session in Kashmir Valley, which is an academic in Kashmir Valley, the academic session concludes in October. So the decision was taken by the government that the situation currently permits them to conclude and take the exams, and extensive preparations were made. There had to be some deviations. Usually the examination material is deposited with the schools, but this time due to the security environment and law orchestration, the police stations were involved in some aspects like deposition of the study material. But nevertheless, the preparations have been complete, and the students, despite having some apprehensions regarding non-completion of their syllabus, are enthusiastic and are prepared to do well in the exams.
Right. Well. Also, when we look at recent incidents, terrorists, continuing to attempt to disrupt the peace. The Prime Minister has said in his meeting with the EU representatives that close international cooperation is essential to fight terrorism. And even as the government has set the ball rolling for development in Jammu and Kashmir in various ways, terrorists are stepping up efforts to disturb the peace. 19 injured in that grenade attack yesterday, attacking a police station, and clearly it's the security forces there who are facing the brunt. Sopore seems to be of special focus as far as the terrorists are concerned.
Definitely. In urban areas of Kashmir, the militancy has returned in some form. In urban areas, there had been a relative calm since many years, and the grenade attack, one in Srinagar and yesterday in Sopore, do represent a marked shift that militants are willing to attack in areas which have a huge civilian presence. And the attack in the Sopore, which resulted in 19 injuries, 6 of them are serious injuries and have been referred to the state hospital here in Srinagar. So definitely it does represent a shift in focus towards the urban militancy and usage of weapons like grenades. Most of the earlier militancy which was confined to the rural areas of South Kashmir earlier.
Right. Well, Salman, thank you very much for joining us there and for all your inputs. And well, moving on, the Jammu and Kashmir police have announced a cash prize of 30 lakh rupees for any information leading to the capture of 3 more Hizbul terrorists, including Mohammed Amin alias Jahangir Saruri, a day after the Doda police announced a cash prize of 15 lakh rupees on the capture of 2 alleged Hizbul terrorists. The Kishtwar police too came up with the wanted dead or alive posters in the hilly district. Intelligence inputs suggest the presence of terrorists in Kishtwar and Doda districts, prompting police to come out with the wanted dead or alive posters. Security forces also launched a massive combing operation, especially in the upper reaches, and are maintaining pressure on the terrorists to flush them out. Moving on to other news stories, Arum, the Common Foundation course for civil service probationers, is underway at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia, with around 450 civil service probationers participating in it. The first ever of its kind Common Foundation course for civil service probationers is being held. This year, the theme is how to achieve the goal of making India a $5 trillion economy. World Bank President David Malpass addressed the trainees at the event. Prime Minister will address the probationers during the closing session on the 31st of October. The program in the lap of nature under the stalwart statesman Sardar Patel's statue is even more symbolic, with the civil service probationers imbibing the principles that Sardar Patel laid out for civil servants.
The first ever of its kind Common Foundation course for civil service probationers is being held at Statue of Unity in Kevadia. The program named Arum symbolizes the beginning of this type of training. This year, the theme is how to achieve the goal of making India a $5 trillion economy. The probationer were also addressed by the World Bank President David Malpass, marking the inaugural session.
The goal of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2025 is both worthy and achievable with strong economic reforms. Making India's economic hopes a reality will require patience, persistence, and lots of energy from you and your colleagues. To lead the country into the ranks of upper middle income nations, you will need to seek new engines of growth that are sustainable, with opportunity and prosperity shared across the diversity of Indian society.
The program is curated in such a way that its main focus lies in strengthening the foundation of a young and new India and inculcating importance of teamwork.
देश को जिसने एक किया, सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी, और हमने यहाँ पूरा एकता नगर खड़ा किया है। एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, अलगता में एकता भारत की विशेषता, ये पूरा लघु भारत हम निर्माण करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और उसमें पूरे देश भर के प्रोबेशनर यहाँ ट्रेनिंग के लिए आए हैं। गुजरात की धरती पर उनका स्वागत है।
सरदार पटेल को माना जाता है कि वो हमारी सिविल सर्विसेज के पेट्रन सेंट हैं। उन्हीं की वजह से सिविल सर्विसेज को रिटेन किया गया। हिस्टोरिकली अगर हम देखें तो जब देश का विभाजन हुआ उस समय देश की जो स्थिति थी उसके अंदर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सिविल सर्विस को रखने में, और उनका ये मानना था कि एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सिविल सर्विस ही देश को यूनाइटेड रख सकती है। तो इसलिए जैसे ही पहला मौका मिला तो जो स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी पे अगर ये हम आरंभ प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, ये एक ट्रिब्यूट है सरदार पटेल को।
Around 450 probationers are participating in the foundation course. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the probationers during the closing session on 31st October. This program in the lap of nature under the stalwart statesman Sardar Patel statue is even more symbolic, with the civil service probationers
of Attappady Forest Range in Palakkad district on Monday. The Thunderbolt continues the operation for the missing 4 Maoists who escaped. A senior commando police officer said that the team has been combing the area for long and have now reached a breakthrough. Due to rain and darkness, they had abandoned the operation. The report said the Thunderbolts, as they are called, received information that Maoists camping in the tribal areas were demanding food material from the tribes. On surveillance, the team found Maoist movements in the area and searched all homes. The officer added 2 of the deceased have been identified as Chandru from Karnataka and Deepu from Chhattisgarh. And in other tragic news, the corpse of the 2-year-old boy who was stuck in an abandoned borewell near Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu since Friday has been recovered. The body has been taken to the Manapparai Government Hospital for post-mortem. Speaking to the media, State Commissioner of Revenue Administration J. Radhakrishnan said the body of the child was dismembered and in a highly decomposed state. Those posted near the borewell observed foul smell around 10:30 p.m. last night, following which medical personnel and teams of the NDRF and SDRF assessed the situation. The digging process was stopped soon after the body was located inside the borewell. Sujit Wilson was playing near the abandoned well on Friday evening when he fell inside. Progress in the rescue mission was slow because of rocky terrain. A parallel tunnel was dug to reach the boy and oxygen pumped into the passage to enable him to survive. Air quality worsened in Delhi on Monday. The air quality index breached the severe mark at 506, the season's worst so far, according to the Centre-run System of Air Quality Forecasting and Research, SAFAR. While the 24-hour air quality index average for Delhi was identified at 368, the real-time AQI figure after 12 p.m. on Monday stood at 506 to the PM 2.5. Concentrations peaked around midnight. The concentrations were much less than that of the last 3 years. While the heavy smog that hung over the city after Diwali in the past 2 years was absent, pollution levels that earned Delhi the moniker of the world's most polluted city were still much above the safe level for its residents. Ayushman Bharat scheme run by the central government is proving to be beneficial for crores of people of the country. After the implementation of Ayushman Bharat Yojana, even those deprived of proper medical care for years are getting free treatment in hospitals. Let's take a look at this ground report from Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh.
The Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided much needed relief to crores of poor and deprived people of India. People of Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh who were unable to get treatment for serious diseases due to financial constraints are now able to get medical treatment free of cost under the scheme. Raghuveer Rakwal, a resident of Raisen, says that he suffered heart attack and the cost of treatment in a private hospital was very high. Under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, he got treatment free of cost.
मेरा इलाज काफ़ी महंगा था और उस दौरान मुझे पता चला कि आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा मेरा इलाज हो सकता है, तो मैंने आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया मेरा और मेरा इलाज हुआ, क्योंकि मेरा इलाज करीबन 1,55,000 रुपये 1.5 लाख के समथिंग था, उससे हुआ है और आज मैं संतुष्ट हूँ.
Meena, Raghuveer's wife, says that her husband has got a new lease of life from the Ayushman Bharat scheme. She's thanked the Prime Minister for this initiative.
मेरे मिस्टर के सीने में दर्द था, इनको मैं विदिशा उपचार के लिए ले गई थी. वहाँ पे इनको अचानक अटैक आ गया. वहाँ से इनको भोपाल रेफर किया गया. उधर से बोला गया कि आपका खर्च ज़्यादा आएगा, आप नहीं कर पाएंगी, आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा आप इलाज करवाना. हमने वहाँ पे तुरंत में आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया, फिर इनको भोपाल ले गए. उससे इनका 1.5 लाख के करीब इलाज हुआ. अब ये ठीक हैं. मैं भारत सरकार की इस योजना से बहुत संतुष्ट हूँ और मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ. हम जैसे गरीब परिवारों को इससे मदद मिलती है.
Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided better medical treatment, especially to the rural poor who could not afford treatment in private hospitals. This scheme has proved to be a boon for such people. Bureau Report, DD News.
And now for some international news. In Britain, Parliament again rejected Prime Minister Boris Johnson's latest bid for a general election on the 12th of December. The motion failed with 299 votes in favour and just 70 against. However, it fell shy of the 434 votes, which is 2/3 of all MPs required to pass. The Prime Minister said this House can no longer keep this country hostage and Parliament had become dysfunctional. He was attacked by Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn for refusing to back a general election. He said he would continue to press for a December 12th polling day, even though the Liberal Democrats and the SNP suggested at the weekend they could support a slightly earlier date of December 9th. Meanwhile, the opposition Labour Party abstained in the vote, making it impossible to secure the necessary 2/3 majority. In Brussels, meanwhile, EU leaders are expected to agree to a flexible extension to the UK's Brexit date from October 31st to the end of January. Reports say that Boris Johnson is to try again for a pre-Christmas election after MPs rejected his plans for a third time. In Los Angeles, a fast-moving fire broke out on Monday. 8 homes were destroyed and mandatory evacuations were made in an area with more than 10,000 residential and commercial buildings. Department representatives said no casualty has been reported so far. The fire started near the Getty Center Arts Complex and spread to about 500 acres, close to some of the city's most expensive homes. Roughly 600 city firefighters as well as personnel from other departments were battling the very dynamic blaze from land and sky as it headed west into forested land. California's governor had earlier declared a statewide emergency as wildfires continue to rage in many other areas. Some 180,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes. All schools in Sonoma County were closed for Monday and Tuesday as tens of thousands of homes remain under threat. The biggest blackouts in the state's history have already left 1 million people without electricity. And Turkey's foreign minister has said that his country's military will attack any Syrian Kurdish fighter who remains along the border area in northeast Syria after a deadline for them to leave expires. He said Russian and Syrian officials provided information that some Kurdish fighters had pulled out of the border area, but others still had not. The Kurdish withdrawal is in line with the Russian-Turkish agreement reached last week. Turkey and Russia will conduct joint patrols along a border strip once the Kurdish forces leave. Turkey is to keep sole control of a large section in the center of the border, most of which it captured in its invasion launched on October 9th. Turkey wanted to drive the U.S. allied Kurdish forces out of a safe zone along the border after U.S. President Donald Trump pulled American troops from the area. Turkish diver Sahima Ekrumen broke the Guinness World Record by diving into icy water in Turkey's Gilindi Cave, which dates back to the Ice Age. She swam 100 meters without fins in one single breath. The 32-year-old diver dedicated her record to Turkish soldiers. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, protests intensified with protesters thronging roads and blocking the passage of traffic. Lebanon has been witnessing demonstrations since October 17th against the economic crisis plaguing the land and the graft accusations against politicians. Riyadh Salameh, governor of Lebanon's central bank, said a solution must soon be found in the days to come to the crisis. And time now for news from the world of business and finance. My colleague Achal Gulati joins us on the show. Achal, a very good morning to you. So what's making news in the world of business and finance? It's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Rukma. And today is the second trading day session. That's Tuesday. Let's have a look at those news which are making headlines in the world of business. And we are going to talk about Tejas Express. The first train in the corporate sector has decided to give a discount of 35% in the fare for passengers traveling from New Delhi to Lucknow. According to the IRCTC Diwali Bonanza offer, you will get the benefit of discount on the fare for journey from October 27 to 31st. Tejas has a peculiar feature under which compensation of up to Rs 250 will be given to the passengers if the train is running late. A link will be sent on the mobile numbers of the passengers traveling on the train. By clicking on the link, the passengers will be able to claim their compensation. Now, after a month of scam at PMC Bank, which left its customers in the lurch, another fraud has reportedly surfaced in Maharashtra's Thane, with promoters of Goodwin Jewellers going incommunicado since October 22. All the 12 Indian branches of the mid-sized jeweler have been shut since last Tuesday. Goodwin Jewellers chairman, managing director and manager have been untraceable since then. Thane police have registered a case against the trio for fleeing with crores of rupees invested by the customers. The police said scores of customers had either deposited gold with the shop or had invested money in their fixed deposit or saving schemes. The complaints suspect the accused have fled with all the money. And at the start of the new year, the Indian Bullion and Jewellers Association Limited yesterday organized a half-an-hour special Muhurat trading session during which 100 kg gold and 600 kg silver were sold. Gold was less in demand and sold at a lesser price than on the day of Dhanteras. 24-carat gold sold at 38,666 per 10 gram during yesterday's special Muhurat session. Special Muhurat trading was conducted from 11:56 a.m. to 12:28 p.m. Now that's all we have in this edition of Finance World. Back to Rukma for more other news updates.
Well, thank you very much, Achal. And time now for news from the world of sports, where Tiger Woods equaled the PGA Tour record of 82 tournament wins with a victory at the Zozo Championship. The 43-year-old world number 10 had 7 holes to finish in Japan on Monday as he matched fellow American Sam Snead's record set in 1965. It was his first event since having his 5th knee operation 9 weeks ago. In April, Woods won his first major for 11 years with victory at the Masters, leaving him 3 short of Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 major titles. And after sports, time now to take a look at the top stories published in the newspapers from the national capital. Well, pollution, especially after the Diwali celebrations, seems to be dominating the front pages of all newspapers, pollution in Delhi in particular. We look at the very beginning at the Times of India, which says Delhi celebrates a quieter Diwali, cleanest in 4 years. The boxed item gives us a graph of how pollution peaked after midnight because air quality index levels show that the air quality turned severe category on Monday night. It also says it's the least polluted Diwali since 2015. However, farm fires have doubled in just 3 days despite all the government's efforts. Well, farmers continue to burn stubble in neighboring states, Haryana, Punjab, causing much air pollution, and this could worsen in the days to come. However, it is heartening that it has been a quieter Diwali. And again, in the Indian Express, there's an interesting article on the same issue. Day after Diwali, it says air quality dips in the capital. Pollution lower than last year, but there is little reason to cheer. And the box item says that it talks about the firecracker effect, says air got more toxic as evening turned to night, referring to Monday. Firecrackers heard across city despite ban, expect poor air for 2 to 3 days. So when we talk about the causes for air pollution, well, there is a lot that human intervention can achieve in order to improve air quality, as we can see. Another opinion piece in the Pioneer talks about how together we can improve the environment, win the war on single-use plastic. We need not just bans, but scientists and entrepreneurs who can make technology a viable tool. So along with our efforts, it's also the use of science and technology can make a difference, and the article explores all the ways that India can find the solutions that it needs at this point of time. And moving on to the Hindustan Times, it has a detailed report of the killing of the terror, the end of Baghdadi's terror. It says, referring to the killing by US special troops of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who was the chief of the IS. And it says here, although it's been more than a day since news of his killing was reported, it talks about how it unfolded, and there are pictures also of the compound in which he was killed, and also details about where he was hiding and various other related aspects of that event. And I'm moving on to the Economic Times. Well, there's heartening news. As it says, Diwali sales give retailers relief finally, and e-shoppers load festive carts with affordable goods. So it says that although the expectations that this Diwali would go so well were not high among traders, it says it beat expectations. And also e-shoppers also, they loaded carts with a number of goods, and well, it was all round very good for the markets. And finally, moving on to the Asian age, it says about how Sikh pilgrims are leaving from Delhi to Nankana Sahib, and there's a $20 fee waiver for non-Indian Sikhs, and all plane carries its own car to celebrate Nanak anniversary. So the 550th Prakash Parv celebrations of Guru Nanak Dev Ji begin with this very auspicious pilgrimage, and which is beginning today. Well, it's 29th October today. Let's take a look at the major happenings that took place on this day in history. On this day in 1863, the International Humanitarian Network Red Cross was founded in Geneva in Switzerland. It was formed after 18 nations agreed to its formation. It is also known as the International Committee of the Red Cross and has been a 3-time recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. On the same day in 1923, Turkey proclaimed the status as a republic after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the republic's founder, officially declared the name of the nation. Atatürk was then elected as the first president of the Republic of Turkey by unanimous vote, and Ankara was made the capital. On this day in 1945, the first ballpoint pens went on sale at Gimbel's department store in New York at the price of $12. They were invented in 1888 by John J. Loud, who was a Harvard-educated lawyer. On the same day in 1999, a super cyclone with a wind speed of 250 km per hour struck Odisha, killing at least 10,000 people. More than 7,505 were injured and over 1.5 million were homeless. The storm affected 14 coastal districts and 28 coastal towns and 2 major cities including Bhubaneswar and Cuttack. On this day in 2017, the first consignment of wheat was sent from India to Afghanistan via Iran's Chabahar port. The consignment was developed under India and Iran partnership, bypassing Pakistan, which proved a major leap in India's strategic plan in reaching out to Afghanistan. And we now take a look at the events listed for later today in today's Outlook. President Ramnath Kovind will present the National Corporate Social Responsibility Awards to select companies for their outstanding contribution in areas of CSR at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman and Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs Anurag Thakur will also grace the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is paying an official visit to Saudi Arabia, will have a bilateral meeting with the King of Saudi Arabia, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, and sign the agreement on the Strategic Partnership Council. The Prime Minister will also hold delegation-level talks with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and address the 3rd Future Investment Initiative Forum plenary session. A group of 28 European Union parliamentary delegation will visit Srinagar and meet Jammu and Kashmir administration officials and local residents in Srinagar. They are also likely to call on the J&K governor. The portals of the Kedarnath temple and Yamunotri Dham will be closed for devotees from today. And on to some festival news. Diwali, the festival of lights, culminates with Bhai Dooj, which is being celebrated today. Bhai Dooj commemorates the bond between brothers and sisters. Bhai Dooj is celebrated across India with great fervor and enthusiasm. The festival is celebrated 2 days after Diwali. On Bhai Dooj, sisters apply tilak or tika on the foreheads of their brothers and pray for their prosperity. Sisters also keep fast and prepare delicious food items for their brothers and eat only after feeding them. The brothers in return give them gifts and promise to protect them. There is a lot of folklore associated with the festival of Bhai Dooj. According to one such story, on this day Lord Krishna visited his sister Subhadra after killing the demon Narakasura. Subhadra welcomed Lord Krishna by applying tilak on his forehead and performing arti. She also offered him sweets and flowers. Overwhelmed by his sister's loving gesture, Lord Krishna blessed Subhadra with many boons. And well, time now for a dose of good news for the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has time again appealed to society to respect the many unsung heroes who make contributions to society that go unnoticed. Well, Shruti, who gives her time to educating underprivileged children, has been recognized with a Bharat Ki Lakshmi award. Here's more.
This is the story of Shruti, a teacher in a slum colony, and her students. From the past 3 years, every morning Shruti teaches these underprivileged children, and thanks to her efforts, 45 out of 60 students are now going to school.
Earlier, these kids were not going to school. When I started teaching them, gradually they start going to school after much convincing. 90% of these kids are now in government school.
After being inspired by Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat program, a local NGO, Soham, conferred the Bharat Ki Lakshmi Award on Shruti and recently celebrated Durga Ashtami and Umeedon Ki Diwali with these children.
हमारे बीच कई ऐसी बेटियां होगी जो अपनी मेहनत और लगन से, टैलेंट से परिवार का, समाज का, देश का नाम रोशन कर रही होगी। क्या इस दिवाली पर भारत की इस लक्ष्मी के सम्मान के कार्यक्रम हम कर सकते हैं?
So as a society, we decided to help her out and contributed as a part. Recently, Prime Minister in Mann Ki Baat has pointed two important things. First, that girls are Lakshmi and they should be honored in every possible way. And taking inspiration from that, we have given Shruti a certificate of appreciation of Bharat Ki Lakshmi. Taking cue from Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat, we have recently celebrated Umeedon Ki Diwali, where we have given all the necessary requirements to the children.
There are so many unsung heroes who are doing their bit for the upliftment of society, but their work goes unnoticed. It is important to recognize them and give them the credit that they deserve. Tumul Kakad's report for DD India from Meerut.
And now let's take a look at the weather across the country. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. But before we go, we'll leave you with glimpses of a Turkish diver who broke the Guinness World Record, plunging into the icy waters of Turkey's Gilindre Cave and swimming 100 meters without fins. Take a look and enjoy. Namaskar.